Part 3, Chapters 27 to 32 of This Giddy Globe. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Graham Dunlop.
The Reader, read by David Lawrence.
This Giddy Globe by Oliver Herford. Part 3, Foreign Countries. Chapter 27, South America. From the beginning of time up to the present century, the continents of North and South America were joined together in terrestrial bonds of matrimony. They were seemingly inseparable. The first indication that everything was not as it should be with this long-united couple was in the year 1880, when a Frenchman named de Lesseps, who had already succeeded in divorcing Asia and Africa, attempted to bring about a separation. The attempt, however, was a failure, and after dragging on for 8 years, proceedings were dropped for want of funds. 14 years later, President Roosevelt, desiring to remove all obstacles to a much-desired union of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, started a new action for divorce on the same grounds as that of de Lesseps, and in August 1902 the divorce of North and South America and the wedding of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were simultaneously celebrated. The northern and southern continents are now better friends than ever, and the Atlantic Ocean no longer has to sneak round by the back door to spend an evening with the Pacific. Chapter 28, Holland. The Dutch are the cleanest people in the world. So deep-seated is Dutch cleanliness that godliness, in the next seat, must get up and cling to a strap. In Holland they run cleanliness into the ground. The heads of the cabbages are inspected every day, and the ears of the corn and the necks of the bottles scrubbed regularly every Saturday night. The sky alone escapes the mop of the Dutch housewife, but the clouds are kept busy posing for the landscape painters. Even the wind is not allowed to be idle. Windmills are posted everywhere, and not a breath of air can stir without performing some useful task. And the sea! The majestic sea that's always boasted of its freedom is locked up in dikes and forced to do the work of highways and railroads. The capital of Holland is The Hague, and here was held the first peace conference in 1898, a gathering of autocrats and plutocrats to discuss the economics of war. Firstly, to make rules by which war may be conducted with the least possible damage to vested interests. Secondly, to reduce the cost of war by the use of methods which, while putting a soldier out of action, will not injure him beyond the possibility of repair for use in another war. Today, the Peace Palace is to let, and Andrew Carnegie, who built it, is dead. But another conference, called by Woodrow Wilson, is to be held in Geneva, which, Peter Simple hopes, will abolish war forever. The inhabitants of Holland are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery, and won the World War. Chapter 29, Belgium. Belgium may be compared to a hollandaise sauce with a piquant Gallic flavour. Belgium is the bridgeway from Prussia to France, and King Albert of Belgium is the modern Horatius who, facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temple of his gods, kept the bridge in the brave days of 1914. Crowns are not as fashionable today as they were in 1914, but the crown of King Albert is of the sort that will never be out of style, and besides being a perfect fit, is strikingly becoming to him. When Julius Caesar described the Belgians as the bravest of all the Gauls, he was a prophet as well as a historian. The inhabitants of Belgium are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and if they hadn't kept the bridge, the World War could never have been won. Chapter 30. France. France is the greatest millinery power on earth. The capital of France is Paris. Paris, though inhabited largely by Americans and English, is famous for its gaiety. The principal products of Paris are plaster of Paris, Paris green, parasols, and pâté de foie gras.
Alliteration is the theft of accuracy. Pâté de foie gras is a product of Strasbourg.
The reader is for once mistaken. Paris, as everyone knows, is France, and Strasbourg, thanks to Haig, Foch, Albert, Pershing and Co., is now French. Paris is divided into two parts. 1. Paris proper, famous for the Eiffel Tower, a skyscraper that contains no offices, and the Magazin du Louvre, which is visited by thousands of Americans daily. There is also another Louvre containing some pictures, hand-painted, and statues. 2. Paris improper. See Appendix. The inhabitants of France are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery and won the World War. Chapter 31. Germany. This space to let. While repairs are being made, in the temporary absence of Messrs. Hohenzollern and Co., the show window of this establishment may be rented for the display of Bolshevism, anarchism, socialism, or any other popular ism that may apply. Chapter 32. Switzerland. Switzerland is famous for its condensed milk, cuckoo clocks, yodelers, and heroes. The Swiss are an artless people. What more worthy people, whose every alpine gap yawns with tradition and is stocked with noble story, yet the perverse and scornful one, art, will none of it, and the sons of patriots are left with the clock that turns the mill, and the sudden cuckoo, with difficulty restrained in its box. Whistler. The inhabitants of Switzerland are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery, and won the World War. End of Part 3, Chapters 27 to 32. Recording by Graham Dunlop.